call, everybody's here. I need a motion for the approval of the minutes from February. Was I here for February?
Yes, I make a motion to approve the minutes.
Your second? Okay, Dick, motion, Andy, second. Oral communications. We got any cards?
We have a vote.
I didn't get these in, but I got
Yeah.
two.
All right.
I can hand them off to
Can we
somebody.
have a vote on the minutes?
Oh, yeah.
Aye.
All right.
Aye.
Yay, yay, yay. Sorry.
So, did we get a motion in a second, Miley?
Yeah,
Okay.
I motioned and
And I seconded.
Andy second.
second.
We neglected to vote.
Mr.
This is our rights.
Mr. Chairman.
Sorry about that. You guys turn the
Great, thank you. Sure.
Okay, Ryan, you're at bat. All of our-
Hello, everybody.
Hey, Ryan.
You guys saw me at the last meeting. My
Yep.
name is Ryan Clancy. My printer failed me, so I'm gonna try and do it off my phone here as best as I can. I'm addressing the fifth hole, the Trussell's neighborhood, and the errant golf ball issue that we have. In the last 4 months since I've seen you guys, my neighbor to the north lost a taillight on her new Ford Bronco. My neighbor to the south lost 2 rear windows on their Sprinter van and a front windshield to their other van. This same neighbor was hit in the head by a golf ball a couple weeks ago. She happens to be the wife of our San Clemente High School head coach for water polo and also our local club water polo, Logan Powell. Great family, moved in next door to me, having a lot of issues with balls as well. I personally had a line drive ball go between myself and my wife while we were riding our bike on Avenida San Luis Rey. Left my wife in tears. My 2-year-old was sitting in the front seat of the bike with me. Super scary moment. I wanted to approach the golfer. When I tried to do that, he dropped another ball and teed off right in front of me. Today, or actually yesterday, I was hitting the ball in the foot way down the street, Avenida San Luis Rey, while talking to a neighbor, nowhere near the tee box. And today, my neighbor here, who's going to speak after me, Andy, he lost his windshield earlier today. And these are all cars that are not parked along the fifth hole, and most of these instances are not occurring along the golf course. They're actually occurring on the side streets. I live on Avenida San Fernando, as he does as well. You don't really see these people hitting these balls. You don't hear a four, and you know, when it does that to a windshield, you can imagine what it can do to an individual. What has changed in the last 6 months, it's really important to note change. I've understood this now doing a little bit of research about liability. We lost a 60-foot plus tree that had a lot of branches, leaves. It was very broad. It blocked a lot of balls. When I was here last time, I was told that we would get something close to, the resolution was hopefully a 20 by 20 or a 40 by 40 tree. 2 of them. We ended up receiving 2, we call them 15-footers. They were like $1,800 trees. I was told the budget was $35,000 per tree. These are not mature trees. These trees are not going to block golf balls. And, you know, over here we caught a ball through the trees today, so they're not doing any help for us. What has also changed in recent years is that the sport has boomed, as you guys know. You guys have seen the revenue numbers for the golf course. With that, we're getting worse golfers. I'm not a big golfer. I do surf. I've seen the same thing happen in the surfing world. We have a lot more surfers and a lot more bad surfers because there are a lot of new surfers. So I relate to that. With the city aware of this issue, you know, my concern is that the liability is starting to transfer from the golfers to the golf course and the city. That, you know, we have had instances in the county and nearby at Saddleback Golf Course or driving range where a ball did get through the net. The city was warned about the ball in the net, and they had a $5-6 million settlement with that individual and ended up closing that driving range. So I'm fighting on behalf of my neighbors, myself, my kid, my property. I'm also fighting for you guys in the city. I feel like there's a big exposure here. I would like to see a net. We could do something high enough that wouldn't affect the neighbors on the other side of the course, and it would save all of us a lot of trouble.
Okay.
We're coughing up $400 a windshield weekly right now. So.
Andy's up. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, I'm Andy Carr. I'm Ryan's neighbor. I live on San Fernando, adjoining his house. And yeah, my wife's windshield got broken this morning. I have 2 other cars, they both have smashed windshields, which I can't afford to fix. My son, he's 16, he caught a ball in his backpack, and it's starting to get a little bit too much. And we feel that, gosh, there's so many families and moms walking up and down that it would be really nice to save them and save, really for the kids. I know that my windshields aren't going to get paid for, but honestly, somebody's going to get really hurt, and I just would hate to see that happen. Also, with my friend's wife getting hit in the head, it ricocheted, but the balls are coming in pretty hot. So, anyway, thanks for your time.
You bet. Thank you, Andy. Okay. Got any old business? Samantha, you filling in for Jordan?
Yes,
Okay. Yes and no, huh?
depends.
Okay. New business. What can you tell us about the electric bikes?
So this is an item that I know the committee's talked about with a lot of concern with the increase in e-bikes around the course. The item before you tonight actually proposes a code amendment. The golf course has a specific section within the municipal code related to public spaces, and there is actually a prohibited acts specific to the municipal golf course. So the staff recommendation tonight is to take that same existing code, which is attachment 1 of your staff report, 12.28.020, and incorporate a modification which is listed, which would be section D of that same code that's on attachment 2. What you're seeing is actually an ordinance. So in order to change this, we would need to approve, council would need to adopt this ordinance, and then it would be written into the code as such. The language that's proposed is essentially the same language that we've used for the beach trail, which does not allow electric bikes or any type of similar apparatus on that area. So this is really just an effort to bring back to what the committee's asked for in the past, which is to prohibit e-bikes. This will make it a citable offense if somebody is found utilizing an e-bike or any type of something like that on the golf course. They will be issued an admin citation. Now, I do want to say it's nice to have a code, but there is then a need for enforcement, and this does not guarantee enforcement. As always, we are limited on enforcement. It's something that typically some of the park rangers are able to cite, not all of them, but the golf course is also not in their regular route. It could be something, though, that we can work with OCSD on citations as well. But again, the golf course is typically not in their path for routine patrol. So it would have to be that if somebody calls in to the non-emergency line, OCSD could be dispatched then to manage it. But it would not be considered a high priority, obviously. So with that, I'm happy to take any questions. If anything, this is just a step to signal we're not okay with e-bikes on the golf course, and they are prohibited. It does also allow us to put up signs with that code also.
So as it stands right now, we don't have an ordinance, and guys can ride out there on their e-bikes,
That's correct,
and that's what's happening?
yeah.
We have no trespassing.
We have no trespassing, so they technically can't be on the course. So we could get them on no trespassing.
Yeah.
You have to pay to play on the course or be on the course. This just further bolsters that effort.
This would be an additional citation then, wouldn't it? Could be.
Yes,
Yeah.
could be, yeah.
I'm certainly no reason why we wouldn't want to add it then.
Yeah, and what you need us to do is make a motion to, all right?
Yep.
Yep, approve the staff recommendation, and we'll take it to council from there.
All right.
Would we put the signs like where we have no dogs and things like that, we'd add a sign?
Yeah, I would want to work with Jordan on what our signs look like. One of my concerns always is sign blight. There is such thing as too many signs, and that becomes confusing. So we would want to kind of streamline what signage we have out there and what does it look like. And we don't want to take away from the aesthetics of the course, but we want to make sure it's clear with the municipal code cited. So we would align it with all that, those groupings.
like a good idea to.
Why don't you make the motion, I'll second.
I motion that we go forward and add it to the ordinance.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Oh, are you gonna get us the third quarter golf activity report?
Yeah, so that's in, that's 5A, you guys can see the numbers where we stand today. As you can see, rounds are down, we've had a particularly rainy season, which is good and bad. But are there any questions on that report as it stands at this point?
Not really.
Okay, our rate increases did go into effect, so that'll be we'll start to see that into this final quarter.
When did they go into effect, Chris?
March,
March, beginning of March.
March first?
yeah, 12th, somewhere around there, March 12th, date.
What's the close of the third quarter? What date is that?
Our
The
fourth, our fourth quarter, sorry, I have to back up, is March,
March 31st.
yes, March
March
31st, thank you.
31st.
That's the numbers that you have, I gave you those numbers.
Yeah, just wanna make sure I had that.
Any other questions on the activity report? I have a quick couple of notes from Jordan, if you'd like me to jump into the next.
From the golf maintenance
Yeah.
side?
Yes.
Proceed.
Okay. So they finished aerating all 20 greens. They planted 7 trees on the golf course. He wants to note that it will take a number of months and care and attention to keep them alive and healthy. They reused the plugs from the greens aeration to build a nursery at the back of the 18 tee. It's already starting to fill in, and it should be operational by the summer. And overall, the course is looking really great from all the rains and the tremendously hard work of the maintenance staff. The soil temperatures are starting to increase, and so are the daylight hours. That's gonna result in excessive plant growth. So they'll be really busy over the next couple of months mowing and continuing to do a lot of that detail work around the course.
So you don't know anything about the trees, the new trees we got?
No, I know Jordan has some thoughts, I just was texting with him, so, I've instructed him to go ahead and give Mr. Clancy a call tomorrow, so he can talk through that. I know that it sounds like there's a little bit more to it.
But we are expecting more trees?
Not on 5, we did 5 total trees throughout the course immediately. We did, our next fiscal year budget request includes more funding for more trees as well as maintenance. So at the last meeting that the committee remembers, we didn't do, I think we lost 9 trees, we only did 5 now. We're gonna do 4 at the next fiscal year to incorporate into the next year budget.
You mean 5 or 7 trees?
7 weeks.
I think there's 7 that's
7 have
done.
been planted.
2 on
They
5,
did 7
1 on
and then they're
2.
gonna do the remainder in the next fiscal year.
Okay, yeah,
Because I
because,
think we lost 12 in that January storm.
yeah,
Uh,
or 11 maybe.
In the last meeting, did we not ask to see if we could get more funds prior to the,
We did that, that's how we were able to fund the new trees that were planted, the 7 trees.
So did Jordan actually see the trees before they delivered them and everything?
I'm not sure, I can't speak to that.
well, they were, some of them were being planted on Tuesday, and he was out and about on Tuesday, and so.
Well, somebody said,
They're not,
Clancy said they came in, they're small, 15-foot, they're supposed to.
they're not as big, they're not as big as I was under the impression we were
They're
getting.
supposed to be 20-foot trees.
We were expecting quite a bit more.
Pretty full-grown trees,
I
basically.
was, I was told $35,000 budget per tree. Is there like
Not
two-
per
Oh, that's
tree.
not per
I think
tree, that
that's
was
total.
totality, yeah.
It's a $2,000 tree, it's not gonna do it.
I went by on the way in, and the 2 on 5 are really fairly close to the tee. Not down where we're gonna do much good for Brian.
That's kind of where we needed them, they're not in a bad spot.
They're actually pretty,
Yeah.
They could have spaced a little more, but that's the biggest hole, that's right where they drive, that's where everyone walks. That's how we're all getting hit, really.
Alright. Yeah, and I think when we talked to Jordan, there were gonna be, well, we can go through it more, but four on the left side of 8, and there's only 3. I noticed there's a
three
big,
today.
there was a big X in red, as if there was supposed to be one more that didn't show. I don't know
Okay.
if we wanna follow up on
Yeah,
that.
I don't
8
know
was the
that-
number I remember, so.
So Jordan will have more details, and there's probably nothing more that we can discuss tonight about it. The only other thing I wanna bring to the committee's attention is we did have a consultant come out who specializes in risk related to golf courses. That individual came out a couple weeks ago. It was intended to, he went through the entire course. He spent about 2 days on the course. And we are expecting a report back from him. That report is likely going to be a confidential report shared with our risk management office only to understand where some of our risks may lie, and that will be a tool that we can use in the future to repair different things and best practices as we build our CIP list as well, and that it will include trees to some extent.
Something to mitigate the risks.
Correct.
Okay. Moving right along. Greens Committee, oh, what, yeah. Tour of the course
Well,
last Monday?
For-
So it rained?
Unfortunately, or fortunately, there wasn't much to do, and Ben and I and Jordan got hit by rain and cold weather, and we decided to,
It's only
Damn.
water.
it was cold.
Oh,
Well, it's very, yeah,
It's coming out.
And we were hiding behind the fence on the driving range between 1 and 2. And we were hiding around the corner so we wouldn't get hit, but I'll tell you, it was cold. And having this was getting back in my warm car, I can tell you that. So you can see from the review, you know, that we got the trees. I'd really be interested in this thing, because I thought we allocated 45,000, I thought it was $45,000 allocated for trees. Was, in my mind, I had that number.
yeah, I thought that was the city
So
council.
these are 5 trees that are 15 feet high, or 20, not very big. Something wrong.
Yeah, I think we're looking at 7 trees total were
Yeah.
installed.
Did they get the one in behind the third?
Yes, but again, it's not as substantial as I would have expected to protect golfers there too from errant tee shots off the third tee. I know we had, 3 giant eucalyptus there that fell, that did a great job of that too, so. I know the trees will take time. I mean, Jordan, you know, there's been no surprises that the trees would need to take time to fill out. Just want to make sure that they actually do. I also noticed that a couple of the trees that they installed on 8, one of them is leaning pretty good because the stick, like the mount, you know, it has like a stick to hold it up, the stake, and it looked like either the stake is snapped or they didn't do a very good job connecting it to another one. So it's already starting to.
2 of them were leaving
Yeah,
this
so
afternoon.
that's a little bit of a concern that they're gonna lose the top half of the tree, you know, 1 week into installing it. Now, those trees on 8 are different from the trees that were installed elsewhere.
Right.
Yeah, they're fir trees, I think.
They're the
Yeah.
tepu trees, I think they said they
Keep
were.
is what we got too.
Yeah, these are the.
They don't get big, they don't grow a lot of leaves. You can go look at them, they're right next to the 5th hole now. They've been
Yeah.
there for 30 years, they're 20 feet tall. They're not stopping balls. It's the wrong tree.
Did he mention anything, Samantha, about some of the stone pines that are dead, like the one up by the green?
No, but I assume he's gonna try to address that in the new fiscal year, which starts July 1. We did, as I mentioned, we requested an increase in our tree budget, to make that happen.
By the way, that just reminded me, we lost Rod last night.
Yes.
Rod?
Yep.
Oh, he died? Oh, I didn't know that. Oh. So I have a further comment on the back page, talking about the second paragraph, talking about the greens. There were a lot of holes in the green a week from Saturday. Rick, did you play last Saturday?
Yeah.
You played the Saturday before.
Yeah.
Did you notice an increase, the greens are better this week than last week?
No, they're worse.
Okay, well, I
Yeah.
thought they were better. And then I played yesterday, and they put sand on it.
Yeah, like you said he would.
Yeah, he said he was gonna do that before the rain,
Yeah,
and
you
so.
expect that, 2 or 3 days after they punch them and sand them, they're fine, and then they start to getting progressively more bumpy as the sand goes down, and now you just got the holes, and that's where it was last Saturday.
Well, the Saturday before, I thought was worse, this Saturday I thought was better, and Wednesday was great, because they hit sand on them, so.
Yeah.
I'm sure that, you know, it's gonna be much better now that that we had a little bit of rain
Yeah.
last night today.
I'll make a note on there was a section here that we talked about the shaved areas around the greens. I don't know if you've noticed that
Yeah.
they started to cut some tighter areas around the greens. I was commenting that I thought that was a really good idea. It gives a nice aesthetic to the course. It also makes the course much more playable for all sorts of different people. I think for the high handicappers, it allows them to putt, and bounce the ball up a little bit more. Versus the rough, so you can't do that, and a lot of people struggle with that part of the game. But I also think for the lower handicappers, it allows the ball to roll off and go off to the sides more. So I told Jordan, the more we can do that around some of these greens, especially ones that are elevated and the balls kind of roll down, we just kind of add another bit of intrigue to the course. As we know, Kuya only allows the ball to roll so much, but still, Jordan, we kind of, he plans to do more of that, and we were kind of complimenting him on that stuff. I mean, you see it on 10, it's a great example. There's a lot of nice areas there, so.
No, I like the way they did it on the practice green over there.
Yeah,
It allows you to, do some chipping.
Well-
Before you couldn't chip
yeah.
over there. Everything was a pitch shot.
So one of the questions I have is this, on the first page, the last paragraph, the city's currently doing a pick. And I don't know what pick is, it's a personal information, a settlement or assessment or something, is that what it is? To see what salaries there are?
Oh, yeah.
So we only have 7 full-time and 3 part-time people. I kind of outlined it, pretty much what Jordan said, that the 3 part-timers, one guy's been there for 8 months, the rest are by month to month almost, and they end up having to, he has to train them and everything, but so he says it's gonna be difficult, and I assume it's for every, Andy Hall, the city manager, said, he said it's hard to get people for anywhere, because they have a lot of positions open in the city that they can't fill. So, especially going down to the bottom of the hill here at the golf course, so when is this pick gonna be finished, do you know?
So, it's called a class and comp study, class and compensation study. That's actually the process that we're going through right now. It is for all full-time employees for the city. The PIQ is a questionnaire essentially that every staff member filled out and turned into our consultant who's doing the study. It will evaluate every position's description as well as their pay, compare them to comparable agencies, similar to San Clemente. The golf course is very unique because there are, as you know, there are not a lot of city-operated municipal golf courses. Many of them are contracted out in terms of maintenance services. So we've asked the consultant to look at both some public municipal courses as well as some private courses as it relates to salaries for golf. It's expected that the full study should land late fall of this year. It is a significant project. There are just under 200 full-time positions in the city, so they're looking at all of those. And then once the study lands, it does need to go to council for review. It is not a guarantee that they will adopt any increases in salary. That's been very clear from the council that we'll do a class and comp study, but there are no guarantees. So it would still have to go through that process as well.
So as we stand, we're at 7 full-time employees, and we're gonna be that way for a while. Does that appear that way?
Yeah, so the golf course fully staffed has 10 full-time positions. There are 3 vacancies right now, and they haven't recruited for those because it'd be unlikely that we'd be successful in recruiting because of the low pay that those groundskeeper positions are. So they've been filling in with temps, And I know that, you know, temps are, they're just that, they're temporary.
Yeah.
They don't last for very long, so I know that that's been difficult for Jordan and the crew to constantly retrain people. But that's at this point the best that we can do, and Jordan and I have been communicating with HR on what the needs are as well.
Is that it? Yeah? Dick?
All I have.
How about a report from the House Committee? Nick and Amanda?
Well,
Anything in?
we did visit with Wedgwood again.
And
in
we've got
April.
empty promises. And?
Well, we're talking with two new employees that are new management staff that started at the beginning of the year. So we talked last 3 months ago with the general manager, we talked with the operationals manager today. So they are trying to follow some of our requests. They have upgraded bathrooms, for example. They are treating the smell in the bathrooms. These are all things that matter to them, of course, because that's where their weddings and functions are. There's a lot of bathroom fixtures that need to be upgraded, which they say they're going to do. They feel they've improved their service to the customers, and the feedback I get from the ladies club is the service is better. They do have chefs when they have meetings, so there is a lunch service. So it is a little bit better than it was 3 months ago. But the snack bar still doesn't open at 6 o'clock. In fact, it states it's not going to open until 8:30, although the contract says it has to open at 6. They are looking at considering offering a breakfast menu starting next quarter. They are trying to clean up the drapes that are in the entranceway and get new drapes. And they are telling us that they want us to be as happy as the functions. But it's difficult to know if it will actually happen, because we are always told that by the new Wedgwood people. So we'll see how it goes over the next 3 months, and we'll have another meeting and see if it's got a little bit better than it was. And so it has improved a little bit, and we'll see where we are in 3 months.
What's happening in the new office where we allowed them to build up front?
Oh, what's happening with that?
Yeah, that's a great question. They actually are, they just got through planning approval, so they're going through permit check right now.
And I believe, it's been a while now, it's been a couple of years since we approved that we were supposed to get bigger screen TVs for the bar.
Yeah, well, they are looking at the new TVs for upstairs and downstairs. And downstairs.
Where's
I think.
downstairs? Outside?
Outside.
Really?
They're thinking of putting one outside.
Oh.
We did ask, Nick asked them if they would be looking at making the downstairs area a little bit more professional looking and more open to golfers when they can't go to the upstairs area when there's a function on. So they are looking into doing that. They're looking into lots of things.
There's a lot of traffic through that area though, it's a problem.
There
Cars
is a
coming
lot.
in and out, coming off 6, going up across the back of the range.
Well,
Yeah.
they could fence that off.
Oh, and force people to.
Bistro tables in there.
I mean,
So if people have lunch.
for me, I was just wanting them to just do what they say they're going to do.
Just
When they do
perform.
things, just perform and have the food on the menu that you have and have a chef to cook it. It's not hard, but it is. So,
Their standard comment has always been that they can't get people to work there.
and they can't,
Is that
it's
still?
still an issue.
Maybe they need to pay more.
I did mention.
You're right.
Well, other places nearby are staffed and feeding people.
Yeah.
You know?
It's very common.
So, anyway, they're open to trying, and we'll see if they succeed.
Provided they keep the same management. It seems like every time we go, there's a new management.
Well, every couple of years, I think they have new money, because they move through and go to another place, a bigger place, and so it is an issue, but we'll keep trying. Anything else, Nick?
So, what about this finance subcommittee? Dick? Yeah.
Any comments?
I had questions that I can ask Samantha at a later time, but nothing in particular that really mind blowing.
Okay, so, thank you, Samantha, for sending me the stuff. Basically, we have its fiscal year ends June 30th, and we have the 9 months on the golf fund. Budgeted, for instance, expenditures, we budgeted 3.4 million, and we've only spent 2 million, basically, 2,060,000. A lot of that has to do with 3 jobs not open, not filled, and so on. The contractual services are down a little bit. We have contractual services, that means bank, merchant fees, water, electricity, travel, property insurance, rental of equipment and all that. And we spent $580,3 versus $693 budgeted, so we're down $110,000 in expenditures there. The okay. Sorry. Now we get the revenue. It's interesting, registration card fees are down a little bit. Greens fees, you know, are down from, we budgeted 1.9 million and we're at 1.6 million. So that's down quite a bit. The pro shop seems to be doing pretty good. Cart rental, driving range, all the city's making good money there. Dave Cook's making good money there. Of course, he's charging $20 a person per cart. Even my grandson, I had to pay $20 for. So, Dave Cook can't buy Bournemouth, and neither can the golf course.
Well, how much are carts everywhere else?
I don't know. I haven't played.
I mean, I think it's
$20
comparable.
I'm not saying it isn't,
Oh.
but I know how much it costs. You know how much it costs to run a cart? Does anybody know? I don't know what it is now, but at
Just
Oakmont
plug it
Country
in.
Club, 10 years ago, the cost of buying, maintaining, providing electricity for it, and depreciating it, a cart over 5 years, was about $4 and something cents around. So it's $6 around now, or $7. They're getting $40 from 2 players. So I don't know if that's public. That's private information. Actually, I think.
But everyone,
I got
but I think
I got
everyone
that
is.
from the president of the Oakmont Country Club. So because I was curious. Let's go back to this. So the golf course funds, the actual revenue. We budgeted 3 million and we got 2.5 million overall. So we're down a little bit, as you know, you can see in the rounds from the rain and so forth. So that's,
Including the last quarter with the fee increase.
yeah. So we should see a significant improvement in the going forward for the last quarter. Don't you think?
Definitely.
Yeah, this report was dated until March 31st, so you'll see the fourth quarter.
April, May, June should be.
Yeah, you should be good.
better.
Yeah, yeah.
Golf course is full all the time. People are teeing off in tee times at 5 o'clock. Yeah.
So I will say one thing that stood out in that was there was a $300,000 budgeted amount for driving range fence extension in there, and I see we haven't spent $1 yet on
Yeah,
that.
so that's a CIP project, and whatever's not spent gets rolled over into the next fiscal year. That, because of the large price tag of that, it's considered, it has to go through a whole bidding process and the DIR, and so it's actually out for bid right now. It'll take a little bit of time.
So that probably won't happen till next fiscal year then.
Correct, yeah, so it's being bid out right now. I think it was a 30-day bidding period. I think we're almost 2 weeks into it. We have to review the bids, see if everything qualifies. Now, if we don't get enough bids, there are certain parameters to our bidding process. If we don't meet those minimum qualifications, we have to reject all bids and go back out. So there's some details we have to cover before we can even initiate starting the project.
Yeah. It looks like that could be a big underrun in the 3.4 versus the 2
Yeah,
million.
it could be, that's a good point, but know that that money will carry over. We're gonna continue to carry that over.
You know, one thing I forgot to put in, Ben, about in the course report review there, that is, Jordan mentioned something about, we're so concerned about equipment, that he goes out and gets the equipment he needs to run the golf course, and he mentioned that he had ordered a new mower for the roughs or something like that.
Yeah, pull behind.
Pull behind, and suddenly they don't make that anymore.
No.
And the new one costs, did he say $100,000 more or some stupid?
No, the 100,000 was for a full sit-down one, but it was like, it cost 3 times more than what he originally planned, 2
Yeah.
times. Yeah, so the equipment is always the issue, right? I mean, he's always struggling to get, and he'll tell you that's one of the reasons why the rough is the way it is, because the mower he has now can only cut it to this certain length, and they can only cut it so often because of this, you know, the amount of
Yeah.
equipment they have. So anything we can, it looks like they've got a new green mower, noticed recently, a sit-down one that they seem to be using quite a bit more. But again, a lot of these things are being held together by duct tape and glue. So, I think there was a piece that was having problems, and it was just missing a pin that they couldn't get, or something to hold it together, and so, we always need to make sure that there's enough in that budget for him to get that equipment.
He's getting another new piece of equipment too, I wanna say it's I don't remember now, I just
A
signed off
truck,
on it.
wasn't it a truck of some
The
kind?
truckster, maybe?
Truckster, yeah.
Yeah, he's
Oh,
getting
I
another,
forgot what that is too.
yeah.
Sorry, I was in a hurry yesterday. Tuesday. I didn't know, I couldn't read my writing, it was a truckster.
I don't know, yeah.
What is a truckster?
I have no idea, but
It'll
it's
help
coming.
them,
Move sand to the bunkers or something?
yes, they can attach equipment to it to move, all kinds of stuff.
All right, is that it, Dick?
Yeah.
You got any items from the committee members? Let's start with you, Nick. I'm good. Good, Ben?
A couple of things, we just went through the aerification process for the golf course. I know a lot of golf courses that do that close down for several days to allow the course time to heal. I know that's really tough, being a popular city course that relies on the revenue, but I really think it might help the greens heal faster. It might keep, things, if we can find a way to close the course, even if it's just for 2 full days. I mean, they close it for a half day and they use temporary greens and stuff like that, but to keep people off those greens for a couple days. I know Jordan sort of lamented about that when we went on our tour. He's like, a private club would close down for a week, maybe 2 even. Now obviously we're not a private club, so we can't do that, but at least give, of course, a couple of days might help improve conditions quicker. Because it seems like when we do the large aerification punches, our course seems to take a lot longer, it feels like, to come back than some others. So just something to think about there. I don't know if it's worthwhile putting up a few more liability signs or putting liability signs on the golf carts themselves to remind the golfers that they are liable for the shots they hit and to things like that. I don't know if that's something we could slide in or put on the windscreen, or I guess he doesn't have windscreens, but on the cart somewhere to just kind of, from a liability perspective, it might help with us. Or another couple other signs, especially on some of the holes that are out there, like right by the 5th tee box, right by the
12.
16, 12, all those holes that are, that are adjacent to roads. It might be worthwhile trying to put up a couple more signs. But like you said, we don't want to get blinded by signs because nobody reads them. But it might just be a nice reminder for people and make them think twice before taking the shortcut or trying to go, flirt with the edges there if they see that it's in the back of their mind. And the last thing for me, Jordan's not here, but I always push for some of the ropes around the greens to stop people driving their carts up there because they're constantly pulling them up right next to it. And if we're going to shave some more of the areas around the greens a little bit more, it will probably damage them more than if it's thick rough. So those are for me.
Manny?
No, I don't.
Dick?
Oh, I'm good.
I still like my deflection board on 17, but that's just to go on record. Other than that, I think the course is in real good shape. But I'm with Ben. I've seen some rather cute signs about liability on some different courses that, you know, it pops and makes you think about, gee, maybe I better not hit it left or right or whatever the case is. And,
If something does happen, you know, a car is hit or something, if the person calls the shop, would they be able to identify the golfers? Or by the car, or by the time that it happened? Is there some way to identify them?
It might help narrow it down, but I don't know that you could. You know, when I was living on 12, you know, they get hit constantly, every day, and, I mean, one guy was driving by, got one in the windshield, as I was sitting on the porch, and he just pulled up the tee, but other than that.
You have to catch them.
My study
It's really hard
on
to
the
catch.
liability of
So anywhere.
the golfers is that the golfer and the golf course, neither one has liability. Interesting, huh?
The golfer doesn't have one?
I tee off on 5 or tee off on 12, hit a car, it's, I'm not liable. I myself would go pay for the windshield.
But you do the right thing.
I'd do the right thing, I would. But the proven in courts and everything, that it's not, there's no liability.
I thought there was a liability of
Sounds like
the
fishy.
golfer.
Yeah, I've read like 5
responsible.
cases, that's not
That
true.
was my understanding, the golfer was responsible.
We're getting a little off topic.
Yeah.
Sorry.
And the topic is adjournment till August the 3rd.